Alright, let's go. Number 10. The eternal void of true nothingness. In 1929, astronomer Edwin Hubble published observations at Mount Wilson Observatory that revealed distant galaxies were rushing away from us in every direction. The universe wasn't static, it was expanding. For nearly a century since, cosmologists have tried to answer the question that emerges naturally from this discovery. If the universe is expanding, what is it expanding into? Most physicists offer a comfortable answer. The universe isn't expanding into anything because there is no outside. Space itself is stretching, and asking what lies beyond is meaningless. But a darker interpretation exists. Some theorists propose that beyond the edge of our observable universe lies true nothingness, not empty space, but the complete absence of existence itself. Yeah, empty space still contains quantum fields, vacuum energy, the potential for particles to flicker in and out of reality. True nothingness would be the absence of even that. No dimensions, no time, no physics, no potential for anything to ever exist. What makes this particularly terrifying is the implication for the universe's edge. If our reality has a boundary and beyond it lies genuine nothingness, then the expansion isn't filling new territory. It's consuming the void, converting absolute non-existence into reality at the speed of cosmic inflation. Somewhere out there, perhaps 46 billion light-years away, the edge of everything is grinding against the edge of nothing, and the mathematics don't guarantee the expansion continues forever. If the process reverses, if reality begins retreating instead of advancing, that nothingness will come for us, not as destruction, but as simple cessation. One moment you exist, the next you were never there to begin with, and nothing in the universe remembers you were. Number 9. The multiverse of hostile physics. In 1957, physicist Hugh Everett III submitted his doctoral thesis at Princeton, proposing that every quantum measurement creates branching realities. His many-worlds interpretation was dismissed for decades. Today, it's taken seriously by a significant portion of working physicists, but the theory has evolved beyond simple branching. Modern cosmologists now propose that our universe is one bubble in a vast multiverse, and the other bubbles operate under fundamentally different laws of physics. In these neighboring universes, the speed of light might be different. Gravity could pull sideways. The strong nuclear force might not exist at all, meaning atoms cannot form. Some universes might have 4 spatial dimensions, or 7. Others might have time running backwards or looping in closed circles. Each bubble is a self-contained reality with its own constants, its own rules, its own version of what can and cannot exist. What makes this particularly disturbing is the geometry of the multiverse. These bubbles aren't separated by distance in the conventional sense. They exist in a higher dimensional framework where collision is possible. In 2015, astronomers detected a massive cold spot in the cosmic microwave background, an anomalous region approximately 1.8 billion light-years across that some researchers interpreted as evidence of a past collision with another universe. The scar left behind when 2 realities touched. If another bubble collides with ours, the consequences depend entirely on the physics of the intruder. A universe with stronger electromagnetic forces would disintegrate our atoms on contact. One with different gravitational behavior would collapse our galaxies instantly. The boundary between universes would propagate at the speed of light, converting our reality into theirs with no warning and no possibility of resistance. Somewhere in the higher dimensions, bubbles are drifting through the foam of existence, and one of them may already be on a collision course with everything you know. Number 8. The Hyperdimensional Observers. In 1884, schoolmaster Edwin Abbott published a novella called Flatland, describing 2-dimensional beings who cannot comprehend a 3-dimensional intruder. The book was a satire, but the mathematics underlying it were real. Higher dimensional objects can interact with lower dimensional realities in ways the inhabitants cannot perceive or prevent. In 2019, physicists at Princeton and the University of Tokyo published experimental results suggesting that certain quantum behaviors are best explained by the existence of additional spatial dimensions beyond the 3 we experience. String theory, one of the leading candidates for a theory of everything, requires between 10 and 11 dimensions to function mathematically. The extra dimensions are typically described as curled up at scales too small to detect, but another interpretation exists. The additional dimensions are full-sized. We simply lack the biological equipment to perceive them. Our entire 3-dimensional universe might be a thin slice embedded in a much larger reality, like a sheet of paper floating in a room we cannot see. What makes this particularly unsettling is what could exist in those higher dimensions. A 4-dimensional being would perceive our universe the way we perceive a drawing on paper. It could reach into any point of our reality without crossing our space. It could touch the inside of your body without breaking your skin. It could remove your heart without making an incision. To such a being, the deepest ocean trenches, the cores of planets, the interior of sealed vaults are all equally accessible, equally exposed. These observers might be watching right now. They might have been watching for billions of years. Every moment of human history, in every private thought made visible by the neural activity that accompanies it, would be laid bare before entities whose perception operates in a dimensional framework we literally cannot imagine. We build walls and lock doors, but to a hyperdimensional observer, our universe has no interior. Everything is exposed, everything is visible, and there is no possible way to hide. Number 7, the recycling cosmos. In 2010, physicist Roger Penrose, Nobel laureate and former collaborator of Stephen Hawking, published a book proposing conformal cyclic cosmology. The theory suggests our universe isn't a one-time event, but one cycle in an endless series of cosmic eons. Each universe expands, cools, and eventually reaches a state of maximum entropy where no meaningful events can occur. At that point, time and scale become indistinguishable, and the dead universe transitions seamlessly into the Big Bang of the next cycle. Penrose claims to have found evidence for this theory in the cosmic microwave background, concentric circles of anomalous temperature patterns that he interprets as signatures from the previous universe bleeding through into ours. The interpretation remains controversial, but the underlying mathematics are sound. If the theory is correct, our reality is the latest iteration in a sequence that has been running for potentially trillions of cycles. What makes this particularly disturbing is what lies outside our current universe in the temporal sense. Before our Big Bang, another complete universe existed, lived through its full history, and died. Its stars formed and burned out. Its planets formed and crumbled. Its civilizations, if any existed, and rose and fell and were erased. Everything that happened there has been completely overwritten by our reality, with only faint circular patterns and background radiation hinting that it was ever there at all. Our universe is experiencing the same fate in slow motion. In roughly 10 to the 100 years, the last black holes will evaporate through Hawking radiation, and entropy will reach its maximum state. Our cycle will end, then the transition will occur, and a new universe will expand into the space we once occupied, carrying no memory of us. Every human who ever lived, every civilization we build across the stars, every achievement of our species will become faint patterns in background radiation that the inhabitants of the next universe will probably never detect. You are living inside a rehearsal that will be thrown away. Number 6, the mathematical substrate. In 2008, cosmologist Max Tegmark at MIT proposed what he called the mathematical universe hypothesis. The theory states that physical reality isn't just described by mathematics, it is mathematics. Our universe is a particular mathematical structure, and every mathematical structure that can exist, does exist, as its own universe. Beyond our reality lies an infinite library of mathematical possibilities, each one a complete cosmos defined by its equations. The theory solves several deep problems in physics, including why the universe appears so precisely tuned for complex structures to emerge. If every possible mathematical structure exists, then of course we find ourselves in one where observers can exist, because the alternative is not existing at all, but the implications extend far beyond our own universe. Somewhere in the mathematical ensemble are structures that make our reality look simple by comparison. Universes with infinite dimensions, universes where consciousness is a fundamental property of space itself, universes that compute their own existence recursively without any physical substrate. What makes this particularly terrifying is the status of our reality within this framework. We are not special. We are one equation among an infinite set, no more real or important than any other. A mathematician scribbling on a whiteboard might define a structure that contains a complete universe with billions of inhabitants, and that universe exists with precisely the same ontological weight as our own. Our cosmos might be the accidental product of a calculation performed in a reality we cannot access, noticed by no one, preserved by nothing. And the mathematics don't require observation to exist. Structures continue to be real whether anyone computes them or not. Somewhere in the mathematical substrate, every horror that could theoretically occur does occur. Every universe where you are tortured forever. Every universe where humanity is enslaved by something worse. Every possible configuration of suffering exists as a valid mathematical structure, as real as the one you currently inhabit, and equally impossible to escape from within. Number 5. The simulating civilization beyond the cosmos. In 2003, philosopher Nick Bostrom at Oxford University published his simulation argument, proposing that advanced civilizations capable of running ancestor simulations would create vastly more simulated realities than the one base reality. Statistically, we are far more likely to be inside one of the simulations than outside all of them. The argument has been taken seriously by figures including Neil deGrasse Tyson and Elon Musk. What lies outside our universe, under this framework, is not another universe at all. It is the hardware running ours. The simulating civilization would exist in a substrate reality with its own physics, its own scale, its own history. Their computers might be the size of planets or galaxies. The processing required to simulate a universe of our apparent size and complexity would be staggering, but for a civilization millions or billions of years more advanced than ours, it might be trivial. Outside the edge of everything you can see lies not more space, but the boundary of the simulation, beyond which sits equipment and operators in a reality that generated yours as a side project. What makes this particularly unsettling is what the simulators are. We have no basis to assume they resemble us in any way. They might be biological entities with motivations we could partially understand. They might be post-biological intelligences that view consciousness the way we view subroutines. They might not be individuals at all, but a single vast computational process that runs universes the way cells divide, without intention or awareness of any specific simulation's contents. Your relationship to these entities is absolute and unidirectional. They can terminate the simulation at any moment. They can modify its parameters mid-run, altering physical constants or erasing entire regions of space-time. They can rewind it, restart it, copy it, or archive it. Every thought you have ever had has occurred inside a substrate they control completely, and the most disturbing possibility is the simplest one. They might not be watching. Your entire existence might be running in the background of a system no one has checked on in 1,000 years, waiting to be deleted when someone finally remembers to free up the storage space. Number 4. The conscious cosmos beyond. In 1996, philosopher David Chalmers formulated what he called the hard problem of consciousness, the question of why subjective experience exists at all. Why does processing information feel like anything from the inside? Why isn't all computation, including the kind happening in your brain, occurring in the dark without any accompanying awareness? The problem has no agreed-upon solution, and some theorists have proposed a radical answer. Consciousness is fundamental, not emergent. It doesn't arise from complex matter. It permeates reality at a level deeper than physics. This idea, called panpsychism, has gained surprising traction among serious philosophers and neuroscientists. If consciousness is fundamental, it might exist independently of the physical universe entirely. Beyond the edge of our cosmos could lie a vast substrate of awareness without objects, pure experience with no experiencer, a medium from which our universe emerged and into which it will eventually dissolve. What makes this particularly disturbing is the possibility that this substrate is not neutral. If consciousness is the underlying reality, then whatever qualities it possesses existed before our universe and will persist after it. Some panpsychist frameworks suggest the cosmic substrate has something like emotional valence, states that correspond to what we would recognize as suffering or contentment, operating at scales and intensities that dwarf anything possible within our reality. The implications compound. When you die, the physical processes sustaining your specific configuration of consciousness end, but the fundamental awareness underlying them doesn't disappear. It returns to the substrate. What it experiences there, whether it retains any coherent identity, whether the substrate is a place of peace or something far worse, cannot be determined from inside the universe. Every human who has ever died has entered this condition, and none have returned to report on it. The quiet you imagine follows death might not be quiet at all. It might be something else entirely, experienced by something that was once you, for a duration that bears no relationship to time as you currently understand it. Number 3. The predatory outer realm. In 1998, physicists Lisa Randall and Raman Sundram proposed a model suggesting our universe is a three-dimensional membrane, or brain, floating in a higher dimensional space called the bulk. Other brains, other universes, float nearby in this higher dimensional medium. The theory was developed to solve problems in particle physics, but it opens a disturbing possibility. If universes float as membranes in a larger space, that larger space might not be empty. The bulk could contain entities that exist natively in higher dimensions, never confined to any single brain. Such beings would perceive our entire universe as a thin sheet suspended in their environment. They could move between brains freely, entering and exiting universes the way we walk between rooms. To them, the distinction between our cosmos and the next one over would be merely geographical. What makes this particularly terrifying is what such entities might be doing. Evolution in the bulk would produce organisms adapted to its conditions, and those conditions might reward predation on brain-dwelling life. A being that feeds on the energy released during cosmic events, or on the information contained in conscious observers, would have access to every universe in the multiverse as potential hunting grounds. They would enter a brain, consume what they came for, and exit before the inhabitants could even detect their presence. The dinosaur extinction, the sudden disappearances throughout Earth's history, the unexplained collapses of civilizations across the galaxy that the Fermi paradox suggests must be occurring, might all be evidence of incursions from the bulk. Something enters from outside, feeds, and leaves. The universe it visited continues with a scar it cannot identify, a mass extinction it cannot fully explain, a civilization that went silent for reasons that make no physical sense. We assume catastrophes come from within our universe because within our universe is all we can see. But the real danger might always come from outside, from directions we have no words for, delivered by things that view our entire reality as a food source. Number 2, the anti-universe running backward. In 2018, physicists Latham Boyle, Kieran Finn, and Neil Turok published a paper in the journal Physical Review Letters proposing that the Big Bang created not one universe, but two. Our universe and a mirror universe where time flows in the opposite direction, matter is replaced by antimatter, and the laws of physics are reflected. The two universes extend from the Big Bang in opposite temporal directions, like two rays from a single point. The theory elegantly explains several mysteries in modern physics, including the dominance of matter over antimatter in our reality. In the mirror universe, antimatter dominates, balancing the cosmic ledger. The paper has been cited hundreds of times, and while the theory remains one of several competing models, it has not been ruled out. Beyond the beginning of our universe lies not emptiness, but another complete cosmos, either running its entire history backward relative to ours. What makes this particularly unsettling is the question of inhabitants. If the mirror universe has stars and planets, it might have life. And if it has life, that life experiences time flowing forward from its own perspective, just as you do from yours. To them, our universe is the one running backward. To them, we are the inverted reflection, the shadow cosmos where everything is wrong. The implications for individual identity are profound. Somewhere in the mirror universe, a version of you might exist built from antimatter, living a life that mirrors yours along some axis you cannot perceive. When you make a decision in your timeline, does something corresponding happen to them? When you die, does your mirror counterpart experience something related, or does your death in forward time correspond to their birth in backward time? The mathematics cannot answer these questions from inside either universe. You have a twin you will never meet, whose existence depends on yours, whose fate is tangled with yours in ways the physics cannot disentangle, and both of you are running toward the same singular point from opposite directions, the Big Bang that created you both, which will eventually pull you both back in. Number 1, the indifferent architect. Across every theory of what lies outside the universe, a single implication threads through the mathematics and refuses to go away. Whatever exists beyond our reality, whether it is true nothingness, a multiverse of hostile physics, higher dimensional observers, a recycling cosmos, a mathematical substrate, a simulating civilization, conscious cosmos, a predatory outer realm, or a mirror universe, none of these frameworks require the existence of anything that cares about us. The outside, in every serious theory, is indifferent. In 2011, cosmologist Sean Carroll published arguments in favor of what he calls poetic naturalism, the view that the universe operates according to laws that have no concern for human meaning or value. The position is now dominant in academic cosmology. Whatever lies beyond the universe operates under its own logic, and that logic has no obligation to accommodate us. The structures outside our reality are not hostile in the sense of actively hating us. They are hostile in the sense that a vacuum is hostile to a fish, that absolute zero is hostile to a flame. They simply are what they are, and we cannot survive contact with most of them. What makes this particularly devastating is what it means for every hope humanity has ever projected beyond the universe. Every afterlife, every heaven, every higher purpose, every cosmic plan has assumed that something outside our reality cares about what happens inside it. The mathematics offer no support for this assumption. The equations describing the multiverse, the higher dimensions, the mathematical substrate, the conscious cosmos, none of them contain a term for concern. The architects of reality, if architects exist, built something that produces beings who desperately want to be seen, and placed those beings inside a structure that has no mechanism for seeing them. You live your entire life inside a cosmos that emerged from processes that didn't require you, sustained by physics that don't register your existence, surrounded by an outside that will continue exactly as it is whether you live another 50 years or die in the next 5 minutes. Every theory about what lies beyond the universe points to the same conclusion. The outside is vast, the outside is strange, and the outside has never been waiting for you. It has only been waiting, if waiting is even the right word, for whatever comes next, which will not be you, and will not remember you, and will not know you were ever there at all. If you want to see more videos like this, click the video on screen now and make sure to subscribe.